morning everyone. I am Dr. Nidhi Deouskar and in today's session we will be discussing an important topic of human resource management, which is organizational behavior. In this session we will understand the concept of OB, its features, its importance to the organization and the foundation on which OB subject has been developed. So let's get started. To begin with, it is said that study of OB can increase organizational effectiveness. Why do we say so? In a nutshell, we can say that organizational behavior plays a vital role in improving employee performance, satisfaction, retention. And how does it do it? By understanding, predicting and influencing human behavior. There are different levels at which we understand OB, like individual level, group level and organization level. It helps leaders promote effective communication, manage conflict constructively and implement organizational change successfully. Now this is very important because in the present day scenario, as the corporate world has become extremely dynamic, organizations are now learning organizations. They are upgrading themselves continuously, be it technological upgradation or structural re-engineering. And for this, employees should also work upon their skill set because it is not very easy to upgrade one organization to fully automated one. It is required that employees, the human resource is also ready for this transition. And during this transition, there are many HR issues that the HR department needs to address to. And by upgrading the skill set, the human resource will be able to bridge the gap between what the actual behavior is and what the desired behavior is. Hence, OB organizational behavior helps in aligning individual goals with organizational objectives. This is very important because when an individual enters an organization, if his individual goals are in line with organizational goals, then only he will be able to give 100% of his output. Hence, OB helps us to understand what the new employee who has recently joined aspires to. OB enhances productivity, strengthens teamwork and fosters a positive and supportive work environment. And this is extremely important if we want to have 100% output from the people who are working with us. So, organizational behavior is comprised of two words, organization and behavior. So, let's break them. First, let's understand what do we mean by an organization. An organization is a collection of people who work together to achieve individual and organizational goals. Here there are two keywords: individual goals, what he wants to do, what he has dreamt of, and organizational goals or organizational objectives. Studies have proved that when the individual goals are in line with organizational goals, we get the best results. For example, if suppose there is a new employee in the organization and he has always wanted to be into sales. He thinks that he is very good in sales. When he enters the organization, he enters the marketing department, he has been shifted to some other profile, say product development. I'm sure he will be able to perform there, but not as much as he would if he was posted in the sales department. So this is what we have to understand. The individual goal and organizational objectives should be in line. Therefore, during the job interview also, the recruiters, they try to understand the personality and aspirations of the applicants and try to understand his job fit. Will he be able to perform in the job he is assigned to? And the recruiters, they also try to understand his organization fit, whether he will be fit in the organization or not. Now, we can also say that organization is a structured group of people who work together in a coordinated way to achieve common goals and objectives. This is very important, that lot many people are working in organization and they are working in the same direction. There are so many dynamics of organization. For example, it involves people, very important. They are the bloodline of the organization, members and employees, the structure which defines roles, responsibilities, hierarchy, and how the authority responsibility flows in the organization. Then we have goals, shared purpose or objectives, and there is coordination, planned activities and communication. We have so many things, and what integrates so many things in the organization? The coordination, which is very important. Now, a big question is, why do organizations exist? Organizations allows people to use large scale technology to make use of economy of scale and economy of scope. The organizations also helps in increasing specialization and division of labor. That means one work is divided. When the organization is big, then work is divided into modules or parts, and these parts are assigned to different groups of people, of employees who have expertise in it. So, we get a specialized output. Organizations also helps to manage external environment. And how do they do it? They do it by monitoring, adapting to and influencing factors outside the organization that affect its operation and success. No organization can work in isolation. There is a continuous exchange between organization and external environment. Now, the external environment includes lot many things like customers, competitors, suppliers, government regulations, economic conditions, technology and social trends, and many other things. So, there is always an exchange and interaction of organization with the external environment. Organizations also do strategic planning, build relationships, and have compliance with laws and regulations. We also require organization to economize on transaction cost. Organization exists because it is often cheaper and it is more efficient to coordinate activities internally through a structured system than to conduct every transaction through the open market. Then we require organization to exert power and control. Organization, and what is this power and control we are talking about? Organization exert power and control through authority, through rules and regulations. Every organization, they have their own rules and regulations. Then supervision, incentives and culture to ensure coordination, discipline, and we can say goal achievements. They also have an impact on external environment. And because of these factors, the organization exists. And these are the benefits of an organization. Now that we have we have had an insight about the concept of organization. Let's move to the other part, that is behavior. What do we mean by behavior? The way in which one acts or conducts oneself, especially towards others, can be termed as behavior. And this is what our session is all about, organizational behavior. Let us understand more about behavior. Behavior answers questions like what do they do and how do they do. There are different elements of behavior. Whenever a person you see behaving in a certain way, it is not just the external action that needs to be taken into consideration, but so many things that have contributed to his behavior in that way. For example, attitude, his knowledge, the morals he has, the actions he has performed, the reaction, the decisions he has taken, and the value system he believes. So all these things, they actually design a behavior of a person. Now let's break down one by one. Let's talk about attitude, which is a very, very important part of a behavior. Attitude, what do we mean by attitude? Attitude is a psychological tendency that reflects how a person feels, thinks and behaves towards a particular object, person, situation or idea. Attitude has three parts: the cognitive, the affective and the behavioral part. For the same situation, every person will have different attitude. It is because of the thinking, behaving and feeling pattern of both the persons, they are different. It is an important element of behavior because it influences how individuals respond to different situations. Next is action. Action also shapes one behavior. Action refers to the observable and measurable response of an individual to a situation. Whenever a person is outwardly expressing his behavior, that can be seen and that can be evaluated. In simple terms, action is what a person actually does in response to internal thoughts, feelings or external stimuli. And this also contributes to his behavioral pattern. Reactions. By reactions, we refer to an individual's immediate response to any internal or external stimuli. They show how a person responds emotionally or behaviorally to a situation, event or interaction. In simple terms, reaction is how a person responds when something happens. Next element is knowledge. Knowledge refers to the information, not just information, understanding, the skills and awareness that a person possesses. It influences how an individual thinks, decides and behaves in different situations. Knowledge has a very important role to play. In simple terms, knowledge is what a person knows and it shapes their behavior. If anything happens and the person is not well aware of the background why it has happened, he may react in a different way as compared to a person who has full knowledge of the situation happening. Next element is decisions. Decision refers to the process of choosing one course of action from several alternatives. It is an important element of behavior because it determines how a person responds to a situation and problems. When a person is faced, when they have many alternatives, now there is a dilemma. They need to evaluate the alternatives and they have to choose the best fit alternative. In simple terms, decision is the choice a person makes which leads to the action. Next input is morals. They play a very important role in the behavioral makeup of a person. Morals refer to the principles of right and wrong, what he thinks is right or wrong, that guide an individual's behavior. They are personal standards that influence how a person acts in different situations. In simple terms, morals are a person's sense of right and wrong, which shape their behavior. A particular thing can be right for a person and can be wrong for another. A particular situation can be morally correct in one scenario, can be not morally correct in other. So, morals also helps design a behavior of individual. Then very importantly, values. Values are deeply held belief about what is important, desirable and worthwhile. Every individual has his own set of value system and accordingly he behaves. They influence a person's attitudes, decisions and actions. In simple terms, values are what a person considers important in life and work and they guide behavior. Now, according to all these factors, the behavior of an individual is exhibited. So, whenever we see a person behaving in a certain way, we need to understand it is because of his decisions, his value system, his morals, his attitude, his knowledge that he is behaving in that way. Now that we have understood what organization means, why do they exist, and what do we mean by behavior, now let us understand what organizational behavior means. Organizational behavior is basically study that investigates the impact that an individual's, groups and structure they have on behavior within organization. For the purpose of applying such knowledge, why do we need to understand their behavior within the organization? Because we need to apply such knowledge towards improving an organization's effectiveness. This is the basic purpose of organizational behavior. We have to understand what people do in the organization and how their behavior affects the organizational performance. Organizational behavior is a study and it can be seen having two major perspectives. One is micro perspective and the other is macro perspective. Let's see what we understand by micro perspective. The micro perspective, as the name suggests, focuses on human being as an individual. Human beings are the basic unit of micro perspective of OB. Individual psychological makeup we try to understand, how actually he is thinking, what are his value system, what are his morals, all these things we understand under the micro perspective of OB. His interaction with other individuals. This is very important because you may have the best of employees in your organization. For every job, we have chosen the best employee, best person available. But the output greatly depends on the way they work in a team and the coordination they have. Thus, recruiting best human resource will not guarantee best output unless they make a best team. So, it brings us to one more point, that coordination is also an inseparable part of organizational behavior. As we discussed, that we need to have proper coordination amongst the team members, intra-coordination and inter-coordination also. Then, micro-perspective also tries to understand the variables determining his behavior, how his behavior is shaped. Is it because of the societal background he is coming from? Is it his knowledge base? Is it his skill set? What is dominantly shaping his behavior? And the perspective also talks about strategies to be adopted to govern his behavior. This is what we have to do. Actually, we have to carve the behavior of individual according to the need of the organization. Another perspective is the macro perspective. Human behavior in a group. See, we have individuals in the organization, but definitely no individual can work in isolation in the organization. They have to work in team. They have to interact with each other. So, human behavior in a group is also very important. As I told you, suppose there is a group comprising of best of HR personnel possible, but they are not gelling well with each other. They are not compatible with each other. So, what will happen? The output of the group will not be satisfactory. So, macro perspective of OB talks about human behavior in the group. Human behavior refers to how individuals think, feel and act when they interact with others to achieve common goals. It is seen that many a times individual thinking is very different from group thinking. So, therefore, human behavior in the group, it has to be studied separately. In organizations, employees often work in groups or teams, and their behavior is influenced by group dynamics. We have teams in the organization. We have people complementing each other. So, there has to be a tight cohesiveness in the group, in the team, so that the output is the best. It is shaped by their interaction, their shared goals, the norms they have, the cohesion, the leadership influence. This everything makes a group behavior. How strict the norms are. Stricter the norms, the more uniformity will be there in the behavior of people of the group. More is the cohesion, the more will be uniformity in the working of group. Shared goals. If everyone is working towards the same goal, then the output of the group behavior will be the best. And leadership influence. What is the role of leader in bringing the people together in group? All these factors, they play an important role in enhancing group behavior in the organization. So, macro perspective talks about it. Macro perspective of OB also talks about how organization is structured. Structure is very important. How the authority and responsibility flows in the organization. Is it a flat organization or is it a tall organization? When it is a flat organization, we will have very less hierarchical level. The span of control will be more people under single person. When it is a tall organization, we will have more of hierarchical level. The span of control will be less. The structure of organization greatly affects the behavior. Like in flat organization, the chances of one-to-one interaction are reduced because there are so many people. In tall organization, the chances of one-to-one interaction with your senior increases because the span of control is smaller. Supervision is more in tall organization. Level of supervision is less in flat organization. So, all these dynamics, all these factors will greatly affect the behavior of individual in the organization. So, structure also plays a very important role. Then, the macro perspective also talks about how technology affects people. Technology has a significant impact on people's personal lives and work environments. It influences how individual communicates, work, learn and make decisions. Though it contributes to increased production, there are many pros of technology. Improved communication, access to information becomes better. We have better work flexibility. These days we see people in hybrid mode. Work from home is also permissible, going to office is also there. Innovation and skill development. These are all the advantages of technology. But it has its drawbacks also, like job displacement, stress and pressure, reduced personal interaction and increased dependence. Another important factor is how organizations interact with environment. An organization does not operate in isolation. It continuously interacts with its external environment to survive and grow. The environment includes customers, suppliers, competitors, government and rules and regulations, technology. Working in the organization is also influenced by its interaction with external environment, how the resources are being exchanged and how the organization is responding to market fluctuations. So, all these micro and macro perspective have direct and indirect impact on human behavior in the organization, for which the subject OB is all about. That's all for this session. We'll meet in our next session. Thank you.